All right, what's up, everyone? Alex here. As soon as I'm recording, my phone goes off. Please don't do that. All right, so I'm just coloring in a gender buddy. Please, if you have not seen what I'm doing over on Gender Buddies on Tumblr, please go see that. I am taking gender labels and I am turning them into critters. This is gender disobedient. It is a term that I had coined with someone else years ago, and I'm just coloring it in. I don't even know what this video was supposed to be. I think it was just to give me something to record today, because I had 7 days of work in a row, and then I had 7 days in a row to work, and now I have 4 days in a row off, which I hope is not going to be a regular occurrence. Though I've seen what my schedule looks like for when I come back to work, and it is a mess. I am now in a position of leadership, and that's a little strange for me, like career-wise, job-wise. Yeah, it's weird to me being in charge of things, but that's what's going on in my life. I probably sound awful. I'm still getting over being sick, which I only mentioned, I think I mentioned it in my Discord server, but also sorry for my phone going off, but I mentioned it in my Discord server, and I mentioned it on Gender Buddies because that was what was kind of keeping me from getting anything done, is that I've been really sick, but it was definitely not COVID, but I'm having a little hard time breathing. I don't do well with congestion, mainly because my chest I have a deformity in my chest that makes it hard to breathe anyway, so when I have congestion, it is not good for me. I'm done with these freaking wings. I'm gonna leave that. Hold on, my mouse doesn't want to work here. Okay, I'll get back to the wings because I'll have to zoom in and tilt the canvas, and I don't feel like doing that right now. I want to get like the bigger parts colored in first. But yeah, Gender Buddies. I should have been focusing more on that. I want to check my phone. Okay. Tumblr notifications. Hello, Tumblr. I am so happy to be seeing notifications from Tumblr. I am so behind on all of my projects. It is the 15th, and the zine is not quite close to being ready for publish, and that's stressing me out, but it is what it is. I took on too many projects at once and then switched jobs, and that job required a lot of my attention for once. It is no longer a mindless food service job, which I love working in food service if I'm actually prepping and cooking food, not just like putting pre-made things together on a sandwich. I feel like I feel like I'm not utilizing my skills enough when I'm working specific food service jobs. It's not that it's a low skill job. I do not believe in anything like that. I just have a specific way I like to work in the kitchen. And I was not really finding that around here, so I ended up switching jobs. I'm in retail now, and it's my first retail job, but for some reason, even with no experience, I've been put into a position of leadership there. So I'm in charge of a lot of stuff. It's so strange. It's strange to deal with stuff like that. I should probably talk about where Gender Buddies, where that concept came from. Are you going to scroll down like a normal thing? Okay. The scroll bar, scrolling up and down using my pen, doesn't work properly. I don't know why. I think the pen is getting confused by my mouse, which is sitting next to me. Even though I haven't moved the mouse, for some reason, it just isn't working. It's very bizarre. But yeah, Gender Buddies came about because I had this project I was working on. First of all, I love video games that use elemental systems. I love when they have a unique spin on them. I love complex elemental systems, not just your water, fire, earth, air. I love lightning and metal and plasma and storm and ice and all the other like little sub elements. I love stuff like that. And I started developing a game. I am that person. I'm like, oh, I want to make a video game, and then I'm like in the conceptualization process, and then I just don't do anything with it, I guess. I don't get into the actual like development part of the game dev. It's really just story building and world building and coming up with items, and not so much like working on gameplay, which I think is hilarious of me to do. But I was working on, basically it was a game where you could collect these elemental cats, because I played Slime Rancher. Like, I got back into Slime Rancher because they had released it on, I think I was actually playing the PlayStation 4 version, but I know it's on Switch as well. And I got re-obsessed with that game, especially since it was a full release. When I played back on my gaming channel, it was like the beta release that like I never finished playing. But I played the full game, got obsessed, and then I was like, I want this. Like, I want to capture this idea. I love the like you capturing these critters with all these different weird abilities. And you got them in a little corral, and you take care of them, and they can combine into other things. But what my idea was having an elemental system, and it was cats. But the cats were going to be designed to kind of be like the slimes from Slime Rancher, very round, and they'd have like a pair of ears, and they'd have a tail, but they would have little limbs, and just be in slightly different shapes and colors, depending on their element. And it was like, okay, water, fire, earth, air, that's your like basic elements. And then under those categories, I had all these like subsets. So under water, I had the ice type, the plant type, the mist type, the, I believe clay ended up under that, but under earth, I think that's where, sand was under water. Clay might have been underwater, but then if you combined it with a fire type, you'd get the porcelain type. And it was just interesting little things like that. I also, in an elemental system, I like the idea of combining elements into new ones. I played a lot of Doodle God when I was in high school, back when it didn't have ads every 10 minutes on their app interrupting my gameplay. I would like try to speedrun Doodle God. It was so fun, and I wish I could play Doodle God like in a more normal way, but now it's become victim of the microtransactions, and there's ads every like 5 moves I make. There's like an ad, and then I think you can run out of moves or run out of turns, and then you have to like let it cool down before you can like play again. And I hate the way it's become, but I was obsessed with that idea of combining elements. Though in the Elemental Cats game, it was really, that's what I've been calling it. That's what its little beta name was. Just Elemental Cat game. But in that game, my idea was more practical elemental combination. So it wasn't like you're going to combine this with that and you get life or consciousness or love or something. Like, it wasn't, none of it was, it was all like tangible concepts. So like the fire elemental cat could combine its essence with a clay cat and then turn into the porcelain type. I had different ways you could create the cats, either by combining elements together like that, or have them, I guess I wanted to have like a crafting system, because I mean, Animal Crossing, I love that crafting system, Minecraft. is pretty good with stuff like that, and I wanted something like that. You interact with the environment, and like there are drops, like item drops, and then you could use those raw materials and create a cat. There's the machine type, which I think used to be under fire because it was like metal and lasers and electricity, so I put it under like the fire category, but I think it's underneath the like miscellaneous kind of uncategorized elements that I came up with. But it was just like stuff like that. I really liked that idea, and then I realized that I wasn't like, I kind of gave up on that idea. I have a lot of like weird like world building stuff I do, and then I never go back to it. I end up like moving on to something else because I'm just like, I get bored, or I don't see it going anywhere. I don't give myself a timeline of like, okay, get this done first and then move on to this thing, and this is when you need to get this done. I didn't like have a plan. I was just kind of, every so often I'd go and throw some ideas down on Trello where I do all my planning, or I'd like grab my notebook and like start drafting an idea for some kind of concept in the game. But I haven't touched that game in so long. What happened to the line here? I see what it is. It good enough, I guess. What happened over here? You okay, buddy? You're like, your lines are all screwy. I mean, I was drawing this like in a hurry, and then I realized I'm not going to get it out on time anyway, so I don't even know why I bothered doing that. I have to stop every so often to clear my throat. Hopefully I can edit at least some of those moments out, but I'll probably forget. But yeah, I just kind of put this game on the back burner, and I was like, I don't want to do it right now. I've got other stuff going on. I was focusing on my zine and other such things, and oh, that's a good base color. I might not keep it, but it's such an easy fix. I can lock the layer. But anyway, I didn't mean to move away from the mic there. Gosh, your little paws. What color is a tiger? They're not truly, they are orange, but they're not. Are they like real bright orange? I feel like they're not, they look orange, but I don't think they're orange like so intensely. That looks good. I want to use some muted colors here. This is based on the label Gender Disobedient, so it's the only gender buddy that does not match the flag that's associated with it, and it's going to have muted colors. It's going to be I want it to be different. Disobedient in the way that like it kind of breaks a lot of convention. It is a serpent, but it's got feathers, it's got fur, and it's got a chimera kind of body with the tiger paws and the lizardy legs that I gave it. Yeah, it's breaking convention in every way possible. I wish I knew how to talk. It's been a while since I've like seriously like sat and recorded, so I'm having issues with just focus and enunciation. I've been really having a difficult time mentally, but that's not what this is about. This is about my elemental cat game that turned into Gender Buddies. So like I put that on the back burner, and I was focusing on other things, and then I don't know, I just on a whim, I don't even know what made me think of it. I think my brain went back to the elemental cat game, and I was like thinking about how I could like make these creatures with these different elements, but kind of going off of the same overall like concept or theme. And since I am obsessed with gender labels and stuff like that, I thought it would be really cool to take gender labels and turn them into critters. But my original idea was that they were very simplistic. I see a spot you probably can't see. I gotta fill it in. There was a little spot that didn't get colored. I'll end up putting a background on. It's a temporary background just to help me see where I've either accidentally gone over the lines or I've missed a spot and it's really hard to see because of the white background. I'll put a background, like a gray background up, that helps me see that. It's like a dark color so that I could be like, oh, that doesn't belong there at all. Let me put this on my swatch. Hold on. That sounds so weird. Aren't swatches isn't that a type of sports watch that they came out with? Swatches? That's got to be a thing. But yeah, anyway, I thought it'd be really cool to turn gender labels into critters, except I was gonna make them kind of like the elemental cats, where they were little blobby things with eyes and ears and tails, depending on what it was that I was making. And then it just kind of slowly evolved into oh, these are creatures. These are fully fleshed out creatures. They're not baby Digimon. They don't have to be these simple little blobs. The only reason why that was my concept for the Elemental Cat game and for the early Gender Buddies idea is because I hadn't drawn in years, and I was having trouble drawing, getting back into it. Everything I drew was just so rough, and the lines were so not straight. The lines were crooked, and I had to kind of reteach myself how to draw. And then I realized that I picked back up on it really fast and learned how to draw really well. After getting back into drawing and practicing a little bit, and then finally coming up with the first Gender Buddy, which of course, Gender Veer. Normally, if it's a Gender Buddy that is a term that I coined, it normally goes into the mythical category. It's the rarest category of buddy, level 6, and usually they almost always have two elements, and they end up being like I'm doing this one right now, just very detailed, lots going into it. And I don't know, I decided that Gender Veer is that belongs to the community. I don't typically take credit for having coined it, but that was me. It's namely just I have a bad past. I did some bad things, and I don't want that attached to somebody's label. I don't want someone to be oh, this term really fits me. This is really good. But also the person who came up with it is very bad and problematic, and that's not something I want to think about every time I try to come out to people. So I decided not to treat that term it's oh, I did that one, that's me, all me. In fact, a lot of the terms that I've coined that people decided to throw up on those wiki sites, if they did not already say that the user or the coiner wished to remain anonymous, I went in and edited those pages. But there's offshoot wikis that keep taking terms from the other sites and then adding them to their sites and then actually crediting me, and I'm trying to get them not to do that. But it's very hard to keep up on stuff like that. So, yeah, that's just that, I guess. Anyway, that was a little off topic. So Gender Buddies, very fun. I've been having fun with Gender Buddies for sure. I had an actual, whoa, that's too red. What the heck, Batman? There we go. That looks more tongue colored. What's wrong with me? I gotta fix the freaking thing again. There's another spot that I didn't quite get to. I'll try to correct that. All right. I should save. So, Oh boy. So yeah, the first gender buddy, Gender Veer, it's basically the face of Gender Buddies. I now have Gender Veer as the profile pic for the Instagram and Tumblr accounts. So I'm kind of proud of that. It was the first one I made, and it was very my style, and it's the poster child of Gender Buddies. It is the perfect example of what to expect from this series. It's simple, it's interesting looking. I don't know what to do for the eyes. Should it just be like this? I guess yellow's okay. Actually, that yellow and teal is really good. Ooh boy, that's beautiful. Oh my goodness. Okay. Just let me enjoy the yellow and teal. I love a muted yellow and teal. Look at this. I mean, the yellow is pretty saturated, but I leaned it more into the orange so that it wasn't this bright highlighter yellow. It's so beautiful. Oh, I love it. I don't know what to do for the everything. I've got a bunch of feathers. I might do them in, well, let me see. Let me color pick the teal. I'm thinking lavender. So yeah, came up with the first Gender Buddy, and I came up with the difference between the Elemental Cat game and Gender Buddies is that I came up with a timeline. I decided, okay, I'm going to come up with all of the terms first that I want to use. I'm going to put them into categories. I'm not going to try to figure out what they look like yet, but I'll put them into categories based on rarity, levels 1 through 6. So it is, level 1 is your basic buddies, basic terms, non-binary, transgender, gender fluid, very basic terminology. Even boy and girl are in there. That was the hardest gender buddy I had to develop, mostly because I needed it to be good and not stereotypical. So that was very interesting to try to navigate. But I'm proud of the designs I came up with for those. Anyway, so I put them into categories. Level 1 is the basic buddies. Level 2 is common. Level 3 is uncommon. Level 4 is rare. Level 5 is secret, which I don't regularly release with the other buddies. They're special edition, they're outside of the 120 that I want to release. And it's I did one for New Year's. It was Neogender. And that category, I usually skip level 5. And level 6 is mythical. It's the most rare. And basically what I was trying to do was almost like how Pokemon cards are released, and it's okay, you're going to get this many common, this many uncommon, this many rare, and one of those rares will definitely be a holographic. That's how they usually release their stuff. Usually themed, which I feel like I should have done, a fire and ice theme, or an all air type, all aerial, or storm and air. I thought that would have been really cool. I wanted to do something like that, and was planning for it later on, but I didn't know how to implement it. But it is a really cool idea of doing themed releases of buddies. But I've got my core 120. I put them all into categories, and then I was okay, I want to release these in phases, and each phase will have 12 of them that I'm going to release. So 10 phases, 12 buddies across 10 phases, for a total of 120. I didn't have a specific timeline. I wanted to release them once a month, and I'm generally sticking to that, but I've had a few hiccups here and there, because that's a lot of drawing for someone who stopped drawing for years and is trying to get back into it. Plus I've got the zine to work on. So it is pretty tough. I gotta fix, there's some white spots I can see in there. But yeah, this has been the most ambitious project that I've ever involved myself in, because so much went into it. I was sitting, like, I had a notebook, and I kept like writing down all the buddies, how they fit, and I'm like, okay, like each phase. I'm trying to explain it the best I can. It's like each phase will have, like, generally 2 basic buddies, 4 common buddies, 2 uncommon, 2 rare, and then the mythical. And I think sometimes I'll switch it up so that it's 3 basic buddies and 3 common. So I think all of the odd numbered ones do that. Could be the other way around, but I know that there's a slight variant between the odd numbered phases and the even numbered phases. But yeah, I set it up like that. So it felt very much like how Pokemon releases their Pokemon cards, with a certain number of commons, uncommons, rares, and then having, like, the holographic card thrown in there. But, like, I planned that out, but I kept, like, rewriting it and moving things around because I wanted there to be a lot of good variety. I didn't want to have a whole phase where it was like, oh, transgender, transneutral, trans feminine, and trans masculine all got released in the same phase. I did not want to do that. So I started splitting things up so that there was a lot of really good variety between the releases. And I would come up with the elements later. Some of the phases, it's like, this one phase had like 4 earth types, and then other phases are not going to have some types included. In fact, up until now, which is phase 3, that's 36 buddies so far. I have not released the void type, like, as an element for any of the buddies yet. I believe phase 4 has 2 void types, so that's gonna be interesting. But yeah, I had all that planned out, so much planning. And then, sorry, my phone is vibrating as always. But a lot of planning went into this. If you could see my Trello board and just how in-depth this goes, it's nuts. But to tie it in with the Elemental Cat game, I liked a lot of the elements that I had. I explained this on, like, an kind of out of, like, not out of context, but just a candid, like, little update on the Gender Buddies blog. I talked about how I had this game that I was coming up with, Elemental Cats and Alchemy. That was basically the idea. And I think originally the idea was, like, you could create the elements as, like, water, fire, earth, air, but then, like, if you take water and mix it with light, you get the mirror type. But if you take water and you mix it with the dark essence, I think I called it an essence, you get the ice type, because the dark and the cold, I guess, it was my plan. So I had light and dark as, like, catalysts, and it was an alchemical reaction that would produce new elements, I suppose. It was a mix of things. You could create the elements, but you could also find the cats in the wild that had these elements and capture them and, like, have them to, like, raise and breed, I guess. It was a number of things. I even came up with a workshop where you could make, like, man-made elements, like porcelain and I think it was the porcelain type, the seismic type, the machine type, and then something else. I'm missing something from one of the categories, but I took a lot of that idea and brought it into Gender Buddies. So light and dark became light and shadow for types. I don't know why. That I decided it was shadow instead of dark. I think dark would have worked just fine, but I think I was also just trying to remove myself from Pokemon. Like, there's a lot of similarities, but Pokemon also just, like, Pokemon's the basis for a lot of games, and we don't even realize it. A lot of things where we capture creatures and raise them, or, like, there's an index of creatures and you're collecting them, or there's, like, elements, and then when you're fighting, those elements are, like, good against each other or bad against each other. like a lot of things are inspired by Pokemon. So that's just going to happen when you're doing like something like this, where the creatures have elements. But they don't evolve. They don't evolve, and they don't fight. They have a power level, which is just like strength of character is how I like viewed that. It wasn't the levels and the stats aren't supposed to mean anything. It's just for fun. There's a friendship level and a power level, which is a more basic idea of what I had for the cat game, where there was a tameness level, a magic level, a power level. I think there was climbing, swimming, and flying for, cats that could do that, because some of the cats would have like wings. I think the storm type had wings. I don't remember. It was interesting. It was an interesting concept. I think I got the like running, swimming, flying, and tameness. I think I got that from Sonic Adventure 2 with the Chow Garden idea. I would say Sonic Adventure 1, but I have more experience with Sonic Adventure 2. That's my nostalgia. I played that before I played the first one. And you can play the second one without having played the first. So it was just one of those things. Great game. Love the Chow Garden. Wish we could get that back. If it's not in Sonic Frontiers, then like I give up on Sega. I've been waiting so long for that. But yeah, it's mostly in jest. But I don't even remember where the heck I was going with that thought. Things, inspiring things. But yeah, like the stat idea. I liked the idea of gender buddies having stats and the stats not meaning anything. And I didn't know how to do levels. I was going to do levels based on just like how complex the creature was. It was probably a level like 1 through like 100 or something. And then I simplified it, and the level just refers to the rarity. And the more rare buddies have a lower friendship rating, but a higher power rating. They fall within a range. I came up with like a range of stat, I guess. From, I think, friendships from like 50 to 100, and power is from like, oh gosh, what did I even do with power? I think it was like 100 to 300 or something like that, or 50 to 300. So like baseline, lowest power you could have is 50. Lowest friendship you could have, I think, was 50. I'd have to look back on it because I have everything kind of planned out and pre-made. So I just kind of can copy paste things, and I don't remember how the heck I did those categories. But yeah, I came up with like stats. I wanted to come up with like a favorite food based on the element of the buddy, but I am implementing that idea, but I don't know how I want to do it. I think like I have 2 ideas in mind. One of them being different types of food could change their element. But then I'm thinking that like I can have another type of item or food that you can like give them, and it'll change like if they're fluid or flux, and turn them into like a fluid or flux version of the label they're based on. I think that would be really cool. So I could like take the agender buddy and give it an item, and then it turns into like agender fluid. Oh my god, I wish my mouse would work. Please. Oh, is it not working? Oh my god, did it freeze? Shoot, I gotta save that. What's going on, buddy? I think we're working. That was really weird. This thing just, I don't know. Paint Tool Sai is failing me, and I've had it for years. I bought the license for it, and I've been using it for a very long time, and I am not prepared to like go use another drawing software. No way. I really like this one. But yeah, levels, stats, all that, items, different things that I've come up with and haven't used a lot of. But the final elemental system was water, fire, earth, air, ice, metal, plant, storm, light, shadow, cosmic, void, stellar, and lunar. Did I say stellar? Is that what it is? Solar and lunar. Whoa. I have a bunch of different... Oh, no, I was right. Stellar. Yeah, stellar, lunar, cosmic, and void are the, like, rarest elements. So those are also in categories of, like, common, uncommon, rare, and, like, really rare. I don't know what the heck I don't know. I didn't give them official names, but it's, like, your mythical types are way more likely to be of the rare element than, like, basic buddies. Basic buddies, none of them are the void type. None of them are the cosmic type. Those are very rare elements. You're not going to see them in basic, but there's one common buddy that uses the cosmic type, and that's xenogender. But largely, those last few elements are reserved for, like, level 3 and higher or something. So uncommon, rare, and mythical buddies would have those. Wow, I am so good at drawing. Wow. I'm not great at, like, coloring things in. I'm self-taught, so I don't know the best techniques for everything. I just kind of do whatever is most comfortable for my hand and for my, like, perspective on what I'm drawing. So if it looks good and makes sense in my brain, then that's that. But yeah, I came up with the elemental system. I think what I have right now, it's always been like this. I don't think I, like, omitted any types. Though I almost had the lightning type, and then I changed it to, I decided the metal type, it was conductive, that like lightning could be, or electricity in general, could be incorporated into that, and the storm type could also use electricity. So I didn't think I could do much with lightning as an element by itself. I feel like a lot of buddies that ended up the lightning type could be machines. They could be something that represents, like, a thunderstorm. So it was redundant. Those could fall under metal and storm element, respectively. But yeah, it uses kind of the same concept of sub-elements a little bit. The basic elements are literally your baseline: water, fire, earth, air. I keep saying it in that order because that's the order that I write them in for gender buddies. It's the order that I do everything in. Anytime I have an elemental system, for some reason, that's just how it turned out. Let me save that and start another layer. So, because this orange is layer 2, so the feathers over here have to be layer 3. The paw pads have to be their own layer as well. Though I might match them to the tongue, if not make them a little maybe pinker or more orangey rather. I'm thinking about, like, my orange cats and what their paw pads look like. So I maintained the idea of elemental subsets a little bit. You have your basic water, fire, earth, air. That's, like, you find those everywhere. Those are, like, the world was created with those, like, elements, or however you want to view that, whatever. Very, very basic. They're prevalent in, like, any kind of elemental system. And then there's, like, subsets, or, you know, your less common elements, still very common, but are less basic, rather. A little bit more complex, but still found in nature. So ice, sort of a subset of water. Metal, subset of fire. Oh my lord, what was that? And then... Oh, I put those feathers on layer 2, and I still have a whole leg here. So what I'm going to do... I was going to have the legs a different color. Actually, I should still do that. Yeah, let's just make it, like, lizardy green. Because that's a real color. Lizardy green. I don't even know what... how dark to make it right now. I can change it at any time. I just lost that color because I color picked because I'm fixing this. So I gotta do that all over again. So yeah, metal was like a kind of a subset of fire, and then subset of oh gosh, I lost my train of thought. Subset of earth was plant, and then what's the other one? Storm is the subset of like air. There we go. I guess that's a color. I can easily change this. I can lock the layer and then color over it with a new color, and it'll just change that color. I hate the way I draw feet on an animal. I mean, this one looks okay, but I need practice for sure. Then you get into your like the light and shadow types. That's just a basic, like, just intangible concepts. So a lot of them, like, a lot of those types are like, they're not really like found in nature, but they are as concepts. They don't have much of a tangibility, which also makes for like creating buddies with those elements pretty challenging. Because how do you do light? How do you do shadow? Because shadow's not meant to be like the evil type, or like a sinister type. So playing around with that is really interesting. Trying to come up with something that could like match what the element represents. And then the rare elements that like are not found on Earth, cosmic, stellar, lunar, and void. It used to be aster and lunar, and in this one like dragon element story that I'm writing right now, it's solar and lunar pretty much. So I've always changed the name of solar or stellar depending on just, I don't know, what I feel like doing with it. But this one's got stellar and lunar, and those are just your not of Earth elements, and I guess they could still be found, you know, physically in nature, because I feel like you could still call space nature. That's part of nature. It's just an environment. It's just another biome. It's another atmosphere, another ecosystem. There we go. Though I guess ecosystem would imply that there's life, so I don't know. I'd like to think it's still considered nature. But the rare elements still kind of play into like intangible concepts. At least the way I've been like making them. A lot of them, it's like, oh, they float amongst the stars, they're ghostly, they can create galaxies when they sing, they can they can gain power from the full moon and dance on Saturn's rings. I don't know, that was a reference. So that's the rundown of how the elements went. Because so many xenogenders use like space and a lot of like abstract concepts. I wanted elements that could fit those. I didn't want to, a lot of the xenogender identities would probably end up being more rare identities or rare elements. I mean, their levels, like levels 1 through 6, are based on how rare the identity is. I didn't really go by real statistics, just what felt right. It's almost like, oh, it's really easy to find non-binary buddies. You could just go into like a little area and you could probably find them all over the place. Because they're basic. They're like, those are easy to find. But then you got the more rare ones. Maybe only 1 or 2 of them even exist in the world. What color are my child's paw pads? I've got 2 cats that are orange, one having darker orange paw pads, and the other one has really light colored orange, light colored orange paw pads. it just depends on the critter, I guess. But I guess this does really like look like Gadget. He's my half-blind kitty, and he's a dark orange, and he's got dark orange paw pads to match. And then his brother is this beautiful blonde orange with a little bit of white. He's developing white on his belly and around his face, and he's got very light orange toe pads. It's so cute. It's so cute, and they're wonderful. I love them both. That's Gidget and Gadget. I always mix up their names when I'm like calling them. But yeah, Gadget was the inspiration for my gender buddy Maverick. I wanted something spicy, something fiery, and I wanted an orange cat, and I was like, why not just base it on my little buddy Gadget and base it on stray cats? So it has the notch in its ear to indicate, you know, when cats get fixed and then re-released into the wild. And it had like part of its tail missing, and it like only has one eye, and I wanted him to look vaguely like my my cat Gadget. So that's where that came from. Don't mind my very hungry caterpillar over in the swatch here. I love the way it looks. That is so funny. But yeah, that's what this color palette reminds me of, is my buddy Gadget. He's such a dork. He's got very bad depth perception because he's only got one eye, and he's scared of random things. He's just adorable. All right. Oh man, what a monster. What a beast. So I'm probably going to end it here because I want to do the shading and highlighting just on my own. Because if you want to see this fully fleshed out, I'll probably add, I don't know, flames or something like interesting to it. Some kind of interesting little background. I might even recolor some of it, or keep it. I don't know. It's a little mismatched, but it kind of like, that's its charm, I guess. I'll figure something out, but this is what I have so far. And if you want to see more, go to Gender Buddies. I am releasing 120 gender buddies. I'm using 120 gender labels to release across 10 phases. There we go. I know how to math. If you like elemental creatures and creatures based on genders, it's gender-buddies on Tumblr. It's gender.buddies on Instagram. I'm sorry, I feel I sound so drowsy. It's just that it's so hard to breathe. You would think I had COVID, but I don't. I already had that once. It's not good. But I am having a hard time like breathing, so that's fun, I guess. But yeah, this one will be done, probably recolored, probably played around with. The lines are definitely done. I spent so much time trying to make it look right. I'm not touching that anymore. But I'll have this uploaded and released soon, and I mean, probably by the time this video goes up, it'll be released. I'm not taking requests. I'm also ignoring requests. I'm not denying or approving any requests because I don't want to give away what I have planned. Somebody had already, I do see you, sir, person, sorry, sir is colloquial. I do see the person who had requested a gender flux, and I cannot tell you if I'm going to do a gender flux or if it's planned for one of the phases, because I want it to be a surprise what genders I had planned for this project. So I cannot acknowledge that request, but I might do requests once this is done. That's, I suppose, it. So everyone, stay safe, stay warm. My weather app is warning me that the temperature is going to plummet. I don't like plummet. I don't like when the weather is using that language. What does that mean? It's 65 degrees outside. There's no clouds. But that's what my weather app is warning me of. So cool. So yeah, definitely stay toasty warm. I'm going to drink lots of coffee and stop talking now. All right. Signing off for now. Bye.